Boy, that mic's sensitive. How are you, Kitty? I'll tell you what, I I no sooner get some good news and then I get bad news. Let's let's do a little intro and broadcasting live. Seems like the tablet wanted to do that again. Broadcasting live from beautiful 32-degree downtown Cleveland. It's station WDWL TV, home of not one, but 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And by popular demand, we have another appearance by the Grumpy Jackalope. I'm your host. Who am I? Oh, the Grumpy Old Man. Oh, and that show's brought to you by this dickhead, Grumpy Vulture Productions. Talk to the hand, not the face. Where was I? Oh, you know, it appears, and so far it's preliminary, that these anthrax plague antibiotics have cured my plague. But I still have 7 more to take, so. But then I get the results from the old CT scan, you know, my annual chest and lung Now, it said in the report, lung inflation is excellent. Not bad for somebody who's been smoking since they were 14. Lung inflation, excellent. I guess I kind of put that old wives' tale to sleep that the more you smoke, the worse your lungs get. Yeah, lung inflation, excellent. Because as you're going through, you know, just before you go through the machine, take a deep breath and hold it. And then I read the next line. Brrr. Oh. Oh. The next line was the killer. Extreme calcification of the aorta. Suggest immediate appointment with cardiology. That don't sound good. I like how they put you on a high and then they drop you in the basement. Yeah. Basically, I know what that, calcification is, hardening of the arteries. These arteries, okay. This big one down the center, oh, that's not good. So I put in a call to cardiology and waiting for a call back. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And I have to, the last CT scan that was run for my oncologist, he was like, I don't like what I see. So, next week I have to do an MRI with contrast. So that he can figure out what's going on. I'm like, getting old ain't fun. Although I have lived past the age of my grandfather and my father. Yeah, I started reading that report. I was like, good lungs. And then I read the next line and went, oh, fuck. I mean, there are people worse off than me. But I mean, how much shit you going to throw at me? I'm just getting over the shock that, they're going to take a tree limb lopper to my toe. And anybody I have talked to that sees a cardiologist, those guys are all doom and gloom, not to mention, they want to run like 4,000 tests. And I'll tell you what, if he says stress test, I'm going to say, you take it for me. I ain't doing no stress test. A friend of mine just did one. He thought he was going to pass out in the doctor's office. Cheers. Ocean spray. What a difference between that generic crap. Holy cow. Man, that generic crap. That's the way I look at it, Kathy. I look at it from the point, if I wake up in the morning, I got 90% of the day won right there. That's all you can do, one day at a time. One day at a time. If you try to think too far ahead, you're going to get yourself all worked up. I got a friend who basically, every time he's got a doctor's appointment, a couple days before, he's all worked up. Oh, what are they going to find this time? Don't worry about it. If they find something, okay, deal with it. If they don't, put a big check mark. I won today. Oh, Kathy, you won't believe what is sitting on my stove right now. Cabbage and noodles. I woke up with a taste for it today, and I went right to the store, and I got all the ingredients. And I made it just like my grandmother, because she used to let me help. She used to let me cut the cabbage up. So I woke up this morning, and I'm sitting here reading email and news articles, and I'm like, God, I haven't had cabbage and noodles in ages. Out of the blue. So I had my little grocery list, and I had, so I made it exactly the way my grandmother used to. First of all, I fried up half a pound of bacon. And then she always used to put some onion in, so I started cooking up the onion, and then into the bacon grease went the cabbage. Because you got to do it in bacon. You don't fry cabbage in oil or butter. You got to do it in bacon grease. And the way she used to serve it is the way I'm going to do it. After the show, I'll boil the noodles, mix it in with the cabbage, and then when she would put it in the bowl, she would sprinkle bacon bits. So I've got the bacon, and I can't wait, because it smelled so good. Oh, that cabbage frying and them bacon drippings just smelled so good. And I'm going to have a big bowl. I haven't had it in ages. And when I got those pierogies, which I have to admit were outstanding, that company makes cabbage and noodles. And when I was reading, I'm like, I don't know whose recipe you're using, but these are bland as hell. I mean, it's basically fried cabbage noodles. You gotta have the bacon. Now, what she would also do, when she, added everything together, she would sprinkle just a little bit breadcrumbs while she was mixing the cabbage and the noodles together. I thought I had breadcrumbs. Didn't have any. That's the only deviation from the way she used to make it. But I cannot wait to dig into that tonight. Then today, I'm hooked on Judge O'Donnell. This defendant gets up, and they all say what they think the judge wants to hear. Oh, I can do probation. I can do this program. I can do that program. And this kid went on and on and on and on. And when he sat down, Judge O'Donnell took off his glasses, leaned on the edge of his chair, and he went, "Horseshit." I was like, holy Christ. Talk about shooting that kid down in one word. Yeah, he just leaned on the chair, he had his glasses. Horseshit. Kind of deflated that kid's ego right away. Oh. I was reading, as a matter of fact, I had to change, swipe it off the tablet to put the music up. The ornithologists that are intently watching the nest think one egg is damaged. They're readjusting the cameras so that they can get a close-up shot when one of the birds gets off the eggs. But they think one of her eggs is severely cracked. Now, I was watching when she was turning them today, but, the camera's so far away. But, yeah, they think one of the eggs is cracked pretty bad. Which I hope not. I hope they're wrong. I hope, it's a wet piece of pine needle stuck to the shell or something. But yeah, they said that they have an HD camera along with the normal camera that they have on the nest. And they are going to try to focus in every time the birds get off the eggs to see if they're, it's a crack or something else. Although they did say that there is a possibility that even though the egg would be cracked, it might still be viable, providing it doesn't get any worse. But boy, that kind of deflated my ego. And then I had them on all day, and I'm up at the screen with a magnifying glass. But they've been staying pretty tight on them eggs. I'm like, this year is just not their year. Of course, they screwed up the first batch. So now basically a team of ornithologists is going to be focusing on them eggs. And they say hopefully when the egg that they think is cracked gets turned, that she will turn it enough where they can zoom in and see if it's got damage. They just can't win this year. Although there was a point today where a bird flew into their safety zone. And boy, the two of them were like, what? So they are very observant, but I'm fingers crossed they don't see what they think they see. And then I was paying kind of close attention to the different YouTube videos. And I'll tell you what, the clickbait is really getting out of hand. You know, when you see judge erupts, courtroom chaos, severely defiant defendant, and then you click on it and you watch it and you're like, where's the judge erupting? I'm watching this, and it's Judge Simpson, and he wasn't erupting about it. Matter of fact, he was laughing. Maybe they forgot to put judge erupts in laughter. But the clickbait's getting out of hand. But I'm going to be watching the birds real close tomorrow. And I don't know how often you check in on them. But believe me, I'm going to be looking for a cracked egg. Oh, there was one defendant today. This guy looked like he fell asleep, and a 5-year-old went crazy on his face with a Sharpie. There wasn't a bit of this guy's face that didn't have a tattoo on it. I'm thinking to myself, and this guy didn't want to get sent to jail for fear of losing his job. And I'm thinking to myself, who hired you? Ray Charles? Even if the guy would have had a 3-piece suit, a tie, and polished shoes, he'd have walked into my office looking like that. I went, next. Yeah, worried about his job. Who hired this guy? And then I watched I thought originally I was clicking on O'Donnell. And, in the thumbnail, it's kind of hard to see sometimes. And I come across this Judge Culotta out of Lake County. I watched a couple of his cases, and man, you talk about a hardliner. In the cases I was watching, he wasn't cutting no slack. So I guess I'm going to start paying attention to him. And then, just before showtime, I watched Judge Shackelford. And she had this woman that she has had on probation, and she's a DB victim on top of it. And in the court parking lot, I was going to say girl, she's 31. This woman's boyfriend was smacking the shit out of her in the parking lot of the courthouse. Well, Judge Shackelford put an end to that because she admitted that she's been living in motels. Shackelford went ballistic on this woman. Oh my God. She kept telling her, "You're a loser. You're 31 and you're a loser." And the woman's like, "I can straighten out. I can turn my life around." And Shackelford said, "Yeah, and here's how I'm going to do it. First of all, you're going to a women's shelter." And she started to throw a fit, crying her eyes out. And it's one of these shelters that's like anonymous. And then she started to rattle off all the programs that this woman has to attend. And every time she mentioned a program, this woman protested. And Shackelford got louder and louder and louder. I have never seen her go ballistic like she did today. I mean, I've seen her go a little crazy. I thought she was going to come off that bench and smack the shit out of that woman. And the woman was like, "I can't be away from motel. I have a cat to take care of." And Shackelford said, "We'll take care of your cat." "Oh, they'll give it away. They'll put it in the shelter and give it away." And the woman that runs the shelter said, "We have a safe, secure shelter for your cat. It will be well taken care of. And when you graduate the program and the judge lets you out, you'll be let out with your cat." But I thought Shackelford was going to come running off that bench and grab that woman and smack the living daylights out of her. I've seen her get loud and demanding. I've never seen her like she was today. Holy Christ. I'm watching her going, "Are you related to O'Donnell by any chance?" Man, like I say, I've seen her get a little excited. I have never, as many times as I've seen her court cases, see her go ballistic like she went today. Unbelievable. I'm going to have to watch her more often. You know, I've been watching Judge West and Judge Mogan so much, I lost track of Shackelford. Because I used to watch her quite a bit. But yeah, she went bonkers. Although this woman deserved it. You know, she was defending her abusive boyfriend up and down the line. And Shackelford said, "I've got 50 witnesses that saw him slapping the shit out of you in the parking lot." And she was denying it. "Oh, people didn't see that." Shackelford said, these aren't court employees. These are normal, everyday citizens. And there's at least 50. And you're going to the shelter. And she's like, okay, I need to pack up my room. Can I report to court tomorrow? And Shackelford said, I let you go. We ain't going to see you tomorrow. She said, the people from the shelter will help you pack up your room, and they have a storage facility to put your belongings and your personal effects. I ain't letting you out of my sight. I was like, oh boy. She's spending the night in the Gray Bar Motel. Then she will be escorted to her motel to pack up, and then to go to a secret anonymous location. And Shackelford said, the only person that's getting the address is your lawyer. No one else allowed. I don't know where this safe house is, but man, they keep it safe. What pissed Shackelford off right from the start, this woman accidentally dropped her urine sample. Accidentally. Like, oops. So Shackelford said, I don't need a test. I don't need a result. You're dirty. No. You're dirty. We'll test you again in the morning. She had a violation. A couple weeks ago, she tested 1.5 times over the limit. Now, she's on probation. She tested 1.5 times over the limit. And her excuse was, I didn't know O'Doul's had alcohol in it. And Shackelford said, in order for you to get 1.5 times over the limit, you had to drink 50 gallons worth of O'Doul's. Don't give me that bullshit. You're drinking regular alcoholic beverages. I was only drinking O'Doul's. I didn't know it had, well, it says on the label, like 0.5%, which they should not call it a non-alcoholic beverage because it has alcohol. 0.5%, but it shouldn't be labeled non-alcoholic because a non-alcoholic beer should have 0.00%. But yeah, she's like, I was only drinking O'Doul's. Shackelford said, yeah, you'd have had to drink 50 gallons. She said, you might have started with an O'Doul's, but you didn't finish with an O'Doul's. That was like the guy the other day in front of Judge Simpson. We were celebrating with non-alcoholic wine. And Simpson said, well, maybe you guys had non-alcoholic wine in the house. You weren't drinking non-alcoholic wine. And the guy was like, and then finally he did admit, well, we did start with non-alcoholic wine, but he said, I needed something to kind of quench my thirst. And Simpson said, I should quench your thirst with 93 days in jail. I've heard that. I've heard about people drinking vanilla flavored, vanilla extract, mouthwash. What else? Cooking wine, it's. Matter of fact, I remember, it's been a while back. This woman got pulled over, and she had like 30 bottles of vanilla extract, empty. That shit tastes nasty. I mean, you open the bottle and, oh, does this smell good? And then you take a sip and it's like, holy shit, is this stuff nasty? It don't taste as good as it smells. I've never bothered to look to see what the alcohol content is in vanilla extract. The imitation. I can't afford pure vanilla extract. God, the price of that shit's gone crazy. I used to buy the pure. Not anymore. I like to put a touch in my pancake mix. When I get a taste for pancakes, I just like to put a touch of vanilla extract in the mix. To me, it makes the pancakes taste sweeter. Oh, I saw a commercial today for McDonald's. 2 fish sandwiches for $6. And then I'm thinking, why are they on sale? Then it hit me. Lent. That's the only time of the year McDonald's puts fish sandwiches on sale. As a matter of fact, everybody does. Rallies, Arby's, Burger King. The only thing is, you have to buy 2 in order to get what used to be 1. That's how small the fish patties have gotten. If you buy 2 and you put the 2 fish patties on a regular sized bun, that's what the fillet of fish sandwich used to be. So in order for me to really get my taste for fish quenched, I'm going to have to buy 4. Because they're so frickin' small. So one day I'm going to stop. I'm going to get 4 fillet of fish and a big fry. And that way eating the 4 will be like eating 2 from the 70s. One of these days I'm going to try a Rally's fish sandwich. I have never had a Rally's fish sandwich. I don't know if they're good or bad. I've had Arby's. They put too much frickin' lettuce. I don't mind some, but they take like a handful. I'm digging through the underbrush looking for the fish. If I get a fish sandwich, and I like Arby's fish, I have to scrape half the lettuce off. That's how much they put on. But I've never had a Rally's. Down there, do you have Rally's or is it Checkers? It's so, I don't know why they don't make one name. Because they're owned by the same corporation. Checkers and Rally's are the same corporation. Why they don't make them all Checkers or make them all Rally's, I don't know. But some places it's Rally's and some places it's Checkers. At one time in Cleveland, we had both. Because over, God, I want to say like around 55th and Euclid or in that area, it's still an old Checkers building. It's all boarded up. But you can still see the Checkers banner around the building. Wow. Pure vanilla is 70 proof? Holy shit. Oh, you've never seen a Checkers or a Rally's down around your area? Man, you must really be out in the sticks. Where's your closest McDonald's or Burger King? Do you have to like pack a lunch when you go to McDonald's? Man, you're way out in the country. You're so far out in the country they have to pipe sunlight into you. Yeah, I've got 5 minutes one way is Burger King and McDonald's, and 5 minutes this way is Taco Bell, McDonald's, and Rally's. It's amazing that the McDonald's are so close. Now, one is the McDonald's playpen because they tore that one down, about 10, 15 years ago and rebuilt it. And the building is like 3 times the size and it's got the big playpen in it. And then the other direction is just the regular McDonald's. 25-minute drive. Wow. Man, you are quite a distance from fast food. Is it the same distance for pizza? Man. You can't even get DoorDash being that far out. Because I know DoorDash has a distance cutoff, at least around here. God, I hate to be that far out. I mean, I've always said I like to live out in the country, but I like to get a little fast food now and then. The last fast food I got was, what the hell's that Rally burger that's got the pretzel bun? I can't think of the name of it. It was good. I enjoyed it. As a matter of fact, when I walked up to the window, because ours has a little alcove, because I don't like going through a drive-thru. First of all, I don't have a goddamn window in the car that goes down, so it's a pain in the ass. Second of all, it makes it easier to order. So I saw on the sign this burger with a pretzel bun. So I pulled in. And I went in the little alcove, and the girl said, "Can I take your order?" And I said, "Well, I noticed the sign with the pretzel bun burger, and I can't remember what the name of it is." And I said, "I'm a little unsure." And she said, "Hold on." And she cut a bun in quarters. And she handed me a piece to taste. And she, "What do you think?" I said, "Give me 2." Because you got the burger, fries, and a drink for $5. I said, "Give me 2." And I said, "Pour the drink in one big cup rather than 2 drinks." And that was about a month and a half ago. Now, Checkers has been advertising this smash burger. It looks like a double cheeseburger. I don't know why they call it a smash burger. But it only has the Checkers, because most commercials have both. So I'm going to have to stop in and ask if they have the smash burger. And if they do, I'll order 2. Because I'm a pig. I like Rallies. I really do. There's something about their burgers that's got a unique taste. And I don't want to hear maybe it's kangaroo meat. I like the taste of their burgers. And it's a break from the boring McDonald's and Burger King. Although I can't wait till the new Whopper comes out. And then I'll try the new Whopper. Oh, really? So they're basically making burgers like my aunt used to make. My aunt never made patties. She'd roll up a ball, put it on on the griddle and take her spatula and smack it down. So that's a smash burger, huh? Okay. Oh, kind of makes the trip worthwhile then. You go to Nashville and you get your fast food on the way and fast food on the way back. Then you get your fill. McDonald's on the way out and Burger King on the way back. Or Taco Bell. Kind of makes the trip worthwhile. Of course, I don't have cup holder. Well, the Posada's got a cup holder, but I can't use it. Why they would put a cup holder in front of the gear shift, and it's not made for big cups. Yeah, it swings out of the right above the ashtray. It swings out, and you might be able to put a 10-ounce cup in it. So I just leave it tucked away in the dash. If I have to carry a cup home, I ask them for a cup carrier. Can I have a carrier, please? Thank you. I have to figure something out for a cup holder. I have to look on Temu, see if they have them clip-on ones. I used to have one that clipped on the edge of the door. It tucked in at the edge of the door trim and the window. I don't know what I ever did with it. Oh, yeah, Kathy, that cup holder is ridiculous. I mean, I'm sure I could put a large drink, but if I'm not careful and I go to shift gears and I go too far forward, I'm going to hit the cup and splash it all over the place. It is the stupidest cup holder I have ever seen. So I'm going to have to look on Temu and see if I can find one of them that clips on the door. You used to be able to find them in the stores, but I haven't seen them. The last time I saw one was at Five Below, and I haven't been in Five Below in probably 5 years. And we've got one up the street. I don't know why I don't go in it. I know why I go. I know why. Because it's behind Aldi's. It's kind of hidden. It's not in the plaza on the right side. It's behind Aldi's, and it's like an afterthought building. And even though the sign at the street goes Five Below, if I don't see it, I don't think about it. And I'm probably not the only one. Nowadays, if your building isn't up front in people's face, they're not even going to think about you. And where they built the other part of the plaza on the other side, the building is kind of like hidden. Because the only way I knew it was there, now I saw it on the sign, up Five Below, Aldi's, Burlington. I pulled in and I missed the driveway for Aldi's. And I had to go in the back and turn around. And when I turned around, I was like, oh, that's where Five Below is. But you can't see it from the street. And, people are lazy. They're not going to drive through the plaza going, where's Five Below? Where is it? It's got to be right in their face. And I'm guilty of that too. But I need to get some sort of cup holder because where this one is, if you would hit the cup, it would splash up the front of the dash, up the radio, down over the heater controls, then onto the shift boot, and the whole car'd be one sticky mess. I don't know who designed it, but it's ridiculous. Because the one day I did go through drive-through, and I asked the woman for a carrier, and she goes, don't you have a cup holder? I said yes and no. I have one, but I can't use it. And then they look at you like, well, not every vehicle is laid out like, a console of an F-150 where you could put a 5-gallon bucket of a drink in a cup holder. At least on the newer ones. Yeah, my friend's son has got that. You push a button and the shifter folds down and then a desk comes out. What? The King Ranch. He's got a King Ranch. And there's a work desk. You push a button and the shifter folds flat, and then this desk comes out, and you got big cup holders and a spot you could put a laptop. I was like, holy shit. Of course, if you can afford a King Ranch, I just want the door emblem. I think that emblem is impressive. It's about this big. King Ranch. The 91 didn't have a cup holder? Oh, that's right. My Ranger didn't have cup holder either. You could fold down the armrest, but there was no cup holder in it. That truck was a pain in the ass too. Had no cup holder in it. Of course, now some of the vehicles, you got areas you could put 60 cups. They're in the doors. They're in the back of the seats. Cup holders everywhere. But the Passat, it is the stupidest. It's underneath the heat controls, and you push a button, and it flips out. Well, the shifter's right here. Who puts cups behind a shifter? If I go into, third or fifth, I'm going to hit them cups and they're going to go all over the place. I guess in Germany they don't drive with cups. It's the only thing I could figure. Oh, we have to export these to America. They like cups. Oh, put the cup. There we go. I could guarantee that the German engineers didn't drive that vehicle on a test track with a cup in that cup holder. Because then they would have realized, oh shit, we screwed up. Oh yeah, the days of the bench seat. That's the one thing I like about the shitbox. It's got a bench seat. And my Ranger had a bench seat. And I'm trying to think when Ford went to the twin buckets in the Ranger. But I like the bench seat in the shitbox because it's flat all the way across. It's like cars from when I grew up. Oh, yeah, I miss those. I love my wing windows, especially in the winter, because you'd crack that wing window and you could flick your ashes out the window. And you didn't have to worry about losing heat in the car. Yeah, cars back in the day with the wing windows. I remember I had a Cadillac that had power wing windows. It was the neatest thing. But they were too expensive to engineer. And when they started the cost cutting, the wing windows went. And then the ashtrays went, and the cigarette lighters went. That's another thing I like about, well, believe it or not, the Passat has a cigarette lighter. A real cigarette lighter. And ashtray. It's in a stupid pot. Oh, it's right behind the shifter. The ashtray is right behind the shifter with the cigarette lighter. I just close it, and I bought an ashtray that hangs off of one of the air vents. And in the console, I have a Bic lighter. I light my cigarette, put the ashes in the portable ashtray, because it's stupid. It's right behind the shift boot. It opens up, and there's a nice ashtray and a lighter, but you can't drive and smoke at the same time. So I just close it. Matter of fact, I bought the ashtray at the Indian store. It was a hang-on, and it comes out. It's got a little bracket. You can take it out to empty it. I said to him one day, I said, "Are those what I think they are?" He said, "Ashtrays." And he showed me. It had a fold-out clip. He said, "You hook it on the air vent." "I'll take one. How much?" $2.99, no problem. And I have my... But the position for the ashtray is another stupid. And also, you can't have the ashtray open and use the cup holder at the same time. So ashtray stays closed, cup holder stays in the dash. But I do have an ashtray and a lighter. I think after... I'm pretty sure after the 2001, I think they did away with the ash. I'm not sure, because Germans smoke, and they think about that. We need ashtrays and cigarette lighters. We smoke. They smoke like this. Very interesting, but stupid. Yeah, you don't see a German smoking like this. They hold them upside down. Very interesting. Or if you want to do it Marlene Dietrich style, very interesting, but stupid. I want to be alone. That wasn't Marlene Dietrich, though, was it? Was she the one that, I want to be alone? She wasn't much for the, if I remember right, wasn't it Marlene Dietrich? She wasn't much for the public. She didn't go out a lot. She always tells somebody, I want to be alone. Because she smoked. I saw her in a movie. Well, maybe she was just mouthing it, you know. But I'm pretty sure She always had a cigarette in a cigarette holder. Although there were some American TV stars that used cigarette holders back in the day. Matter of fact, there were some that really used cigarette holders. I'm trying to stay away from smoking. So far, it's not working. Too hard to hold without teeth. Oh, Greta Garbo. Well, I knew it was one of them foreign actresses. I want to be alone. I think after her movie career, she became a recluse, didn't she? She like walled herself up in a German castle or something, or French castle, or this thing's stupid. I don't know what the hell I got to. Oh, it came with some Halloween costume. I'll go back to the smaller one. The only thing, when you use a cigarette holder, the cigarette seems to burn faster. I don't know why. Then you get like most of your TV stars used to hold them like this. Cary Grant was a famous one for. He didn't do it like, normal Americans this way. It was always this way. Especially when he was advertising Chesterfield Kings. You'd see him sitting there. Boy, a couple weeks ago, I was reading print ads from back in the day, like John Wayne. Now, John Wayne, I think he died of lung cancer, didn't he? Chesterfield Kings, they feel smooth on my throat. Yeah, that was the tagline. They're smooth on your throat. I don't know. I never smoked a Chesterfield King. I could have stolen them from my uncle. I don't know why I never did. I had one uncle that used to. That's all he did. And if he ran out and he wanted to bum a cigarette, he wouldn't smoke anything but a Chesterfield King. Be like, hey, can I bum a cigarette? What do you got? Camel? Oh, no. Marlboro? No. Tarryton? Oh, yoy. I know none, well, the smoke shops around here are all kind of small. And none of them carry Chesterfields. I don't even know if they still make them. I haven't seen a Chesterfield in probably 30 years. Camel filters or non-filtered camels. My father smoked non-filtered camels. Oh, man, I'll never forget the one day I bummed one and lit that up. Holy shit. First of all, you're picking tobacco off your tongue. I had one uncle, Kathy, and I remember you could buy it. It was rolling papers and tobacco in a bag. I remember seeing them in the drugstore. It was a bag of tobacco with rolling papers. And I remember my one uncle used to roll his own. And I mean, of course, he'd been rolling his own for so many years, but to watch him take that rolling paper out, sprinkle the tobacco in, and lick the paper, and then roll it up, and then tap it. All the stuff that we used to have. I remember back in the day, my next door neighbor chewed tobacco. He'd put a wad in, walking around spitting, have that big wad of tobacco in his cheek. Mail pouch. He chewed mail pouch tobacco. I used to gag watching him open that pouch, take out a big, tuck it in his cheek. But my uncle, he'd go in the drugstore, and you didn't have to ask for it. The cigarettes and everything were right out in the open. He grabbed that pouch, and it had rolling papers in the side. He'd pour that tobacco out. You know, it's amazing how many women back in the day, and I mean like when I was a little tyke, chewed tobacco. There were like 3 or 4 women in my grandmother's neighborhood that chewed tobacco. And it always amazed me. Matter of fact, the one that lived down the street on the corner had no teeth. Her gums were all sunken in. Cheeks were all sunken in, and she'd have that big wad of tobacco. Gumming that tobacco. But I heard down south it was a big thing. Women didn't smoke. They chewed tobacco. It was rare to see women chewing tobacco up here. But I remember 3 or 4 of my grandmother's neighbors, because they'd all be sitting around in the backyard in their Adirondacks chairs, spreading gossip, big wad of chewing tobacco in their cheek. Now, my grandmother, when she was young, smoked. And when she got married, she quit. Now, my grandfather didn't say anything because my grandfather smoked cigars and, well, when he was younger, he smoked cigarettes. Then he went to cigars and pipes. But she told them when they got married, she'd quit smoking. And he didn't ask her to. She just quit. But my grandfather used to like his cigars. He'd smoke them cigars that were about out to here. And a pipe. He'd be watching TV, puffing on that pipe. He had a neat, like Sherlock Holmes style, crook pipe. Sitting there watching TV, puffing away. Oh, cheating, huh? Have a wad of Tootsie Roll in your cheek, huh? But it was weird watching women chew tobacco. God, the one woman down on the corner, she had to be in her 90s. Chewing away. She'd have that. And when she didn't have a wad of tobacco, her gums, everything was all sunk in on her face. That was an interesting neighborhood down by the market house. All the old, well, it was a mixture, Hungarians, Slovenians, Germans, and they were all from the old country. Matter of fact, there were a lot of people in my grandmother's neighborhood that didn't even speak English. Well, yeah. My neighbor that chewed tobacco, all of his teeth were all brown. He didn't care. I'll never forget one day. Oh, God, talk about laugh our ass off. It was chilly weather. And he decided to take his daughter and me and my buddy and his daughter's girlfriend for ice cream. He'd do that every now and then. Come on, kids, I'll take you for ice cream. And chewing a wad of tobacco. And he went to spit. And he forgot the window was rolled up. And he turned to it. There, fucking tobacco juice all over the window, down the door. We're eating our ice cream, and he's over by the napkin dispenser, pulling out about 300 napkins, trying to clean the window and the door. Yeah, he thought the window was down, driving along. Oh! Here's the money, kids. Go get the ice cream. I got to clean the glass. Anytime we went for ice cream, we'd always tell him, Mr. George, make sure the window's down. Don't remind me. But every now and then, he would just round the kids up. He had a big fucking Buick station wagon. Well, I mean, it was like a 1950. It wasn't that big, but Everybody'd pile in up to the ice cream shop. He'd buy everybody ice cream. He drove nothing but Buicks. Every car he had was a Buick. I remember he had a Buick Wildcat convertible. Oh, man. First of all, that car was about 40 feet long. He'd put that top down, and we'd all pile in, go for ice cream. It was red with a red leather interior and a black top. Had to be 67, 68. It was big. Back in the day when cars were cars. When my father came home with that 59 Cadillac Sedan DeVille that had fins on it like a rocket ship, and it wouldn't fit in the garage. Oh, did that piss him off? Because he liked to keep his cars in the garage. He pulled in and about 3 feet of that fin stuck out. Goddamn car. I used to like it because the taillights were like two rockets. That was a big car. Oh, man, was that car big. I would say just the back seat is about the size of the whole Passat interior. That's how big that Cadillac was. Boy, I'll tell you what, it took a lot of getting used to trying to get in and out of that car. I've got it down to a science now. Because it's low, and then when you get in the seat, you're even lower. I get up to the store, I swing the door all the way open and grab that hand holder, get my two legs out and pull my ass up. Like I say, I've got it down to a science now, but it's not a car for seniors, I'll tell you that. But I like driving it. One of these days, I hope to own it. It's taken forever to... I don't know why that goddamn judge don't want to sign that paperwork. Yuck. So what's the temperature like down there in God's country? Oh, what do you pay for a pack of cigarettes? Just to compare prices with up here. Although I don't buy branded cigarettes, I buy generics. It's in the 60s. Yeah, we're still at 32. I think it only got up to 34 today. That's... That's about what they are here. Marlboros, Camel filters, Winston, yeah, all the cigarettes are between about $10.55 and $13 a pack. God, I remember back in the day paying $5 a carton. I used to buy Parliaments for $5 a carton. I tell people that nowadays, they're like, "Oh, you're telling phony stories again." I said, "No. 50 cents a pack. 10 packs in a carton, $5. My LDs, I get 2 packs. It's $11.70 for 2 packs, but they're generic. See who makes them. Oh, gee. Made in Turkey. JT International, Raleigh, North Carolina. Imported from Turkey. I never noticed that. I thought they were American made. Imported from Turkey. Maybe they use some of that Camel Turkish tobacco. That used to be the big selling point back in the day. Made with fine Turkish tobacco. And it always had they still have the camel on the label. But you don't hear about the since they don't advertise cigarettes anymore. There's still Turkish tobacco? Well, that's what I got. Turkish tobacco, imported from Turkey. You know, my argument has always been when they stopped the cigarette advertising, they should have stopped beer. Because I don't know anybody that's been killed in a traffic accident from smoking. I would think beer would have been worse than cigarettes. Because I miss the cigarette commercials. And you know, they still smoke in the movies. They've never stopped. And it's always like, you know, the spy or the bad guy. He's driving along with a cigarette in his mouth, you know. But they should have stopped advertising beer. It's amazing what when they said they were going to stop advertising cigarettes, the cigarette manufacturers, you know, they're lobbyists, how they weren't able to fight it. But the beer lobbyists, they win every time. Anytime there's a thought of stopping beer commercials, oh man, the lobbyists hit Washington like crazy. I mean, yeah, they say cigarettes cause lung cancer. Well, I'm going to be 75. I've been smoking since I was 14. And you heard the report from my CT scan. Oh, the walking belly. Yeah, right about on time. All right, Mr. Walking Belly. He's my cue to end the show at night. All right, geez, you're going to knock something down under that console. I'm going to kick your ass. Get out from underneath there. Pain in the ass. The walking belly signals the end of the show. All right, all you out in TV land, thanks for being here. It's been a fun show. We know where we're going to meet right here, WDWL TV, home of not one, but 2 stars on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And our guest tonight, the Grumpy Jackalope. And screw that bird over here. All right. Take care. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. And we will meet again tomorrow night. Have a wonderful evening, peoples. See ya. And see you number 2.